My mother, Aquila Ferranti, has been living in America for almost half her life. She immigrated from the Philippines in 1997. Her husband at the time had petitioned for her to come here first because they could not afford to immigrate as a family. Within the first year of them reuniting in America, I was born. Before her arrival, no member of her family lived here.
I've never been a bit thinking to come in America because especially we don't have our relatives here in America.
She grew up with her 5 sisters in a close-knit household in Catarman, the capital of a large province called North Samar. My Aunt Maria Teresa says ever since 2 of her siblings left the Philippines, their bond hasn't been the same.
Naging worse ang namin magkakapatid.
It got worse, our relationship as siblings, because we all went our own ways.
My aunt was sad when my mother left for America, because back then there was no way for her to call and make sure everything was okay.
Hindi namin alam. Hindi ko alam.
We didn't know. I didn't know what was happening to my sibling.
She felt guilty, being an older sibling, that she wasn't in America helping my mother try and navigate this new world.
At first, my thoughts were, are my siblings going to be able to handle living life there? At first, I felt sad, but I didn't show it.
Every country has its own set of values and expectations when it comes to how people live their lives.
Culture that you don't know anything about and seems very foreign to you.
Nicole Debuse is an associate professor in social work at SJSU. She says the amount of trauma and stress that immigrants experience varies depending on their situations.
So the more stark the differences are in the countries with little preparation, the harder that transition is.
My mother had to learn to adapt quickly to the lifestyle in America. In the early years, she lived with discomfort and uncertainty. When my mother thinks back on her life, she says that she would prefer to have stayed in the Philippines. She continued to live in America for one reason.
I prefer to my kids grew up here because this is their country. So I have to stay here and face whatever circumstances I am facing.
My mother is sometimes torn with the idea that not only is she away from her sisters, but her children now are also leaving the nest to build their own lives. Debuse says that this is a common occurrence for immigrant parents.
If they were young and they're raising their family, they come from a country and culture that they assume the family is going to be living together, or at least nearby, and be integrated into their daily lives in some level.
Many times, my mother felt like going back to the Philippines would have been easier for her. She has come across many struggles in her life, but she never let that distract her from raising her kids.
Even it's sad, even it's hurt me, silently I have to deal with that.